Hi everyone, welcome in the new episode of the Lab Panama. This episode is going to be in English, guys, because today I'm so glad. Since long time I wanted to do like this podcast because we invite Anne-Marie. How are you, Anne-Marie?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's really nice to see you. So Anne-Marie, just like to explain you, she's training like in the lab since almost the beginning, like 5 years almost. 5 years. Where are you from, Anne-Marie?
Australia.
Australia. Anne-Marie, she's training like CrossFit since 5 years, even like before you start. Like,
yeah, I think I did it about 2 years before in Australia.
okay, so like almost like 7 years, like training, intense workout. And every time like we share like thought, like we share like idea with Anne-Marie, like about like mindset, about like how to connect, like be better like with the people, with everything, with the planet. Like we are made like to be connected with the planet, with the world, and we just step by step we are going like further and further and further, and we are like, even every time we are like more in a digital world and disconnecting from the good thing, the thing that we need. So Anne-Marie, explain a little bit like what you're doing, what you're training, and everything. Just like tell a little bit about you, like about the people to understand like all the context.
Yeah, so I've been doing CrossFit for about 7 years or so. You think I'd be better at it by now, just like you think I'd be better at Spanish by now.
Yeah, you are like...
I'm failing on both. But I mean, as an adult, I've always been quite active. I was very into running for a while, like half marathons when I lived in the UK. And then I sort of dropped down to like 10K runs when I was living in Brisbane. And my quickest time was like, what was it? It was 48 minutes something.
That's
for
good.
A 10K. Yeah, it was pretty quick,
good.
especially for my age group.
That's
and
great.
Then, like many people in their 30s at the time, my knees started to go and I started looking for something else. So I was cycling every day to work, and usually that was about 10K each way. So I still had that, and I still did yoga. So I've been doing yoga since around 2000, I think. When I lived in the UK, I started doing yoga. So
Which kind of yoga?
Ashtanga yoga.
That is not easy, guys. It's like, I think the hardest one, like...
It's difficult, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
But the thing I like about it is it's a very active one, and
Exactly.
it's very structured. So you do the same postures each time.
You need like discipline, like to do it.
Yeah, so that's what I really like about it, because I don't have to think about it and I can just do it. So there's 3 Ashtanga series: the primary, secondary, and the tertiary, I guess. So I've done I basically practiced the first series, and I have done the second series, because it's quite hard to find teachers who actually run classes in it. But there was one on the Gold Coast when I lived in Brisbane who did it like once a month. So I would drive to the Gold Coast.
And why it's hard like to find like a coach, because it's like less commercial like yoga, let's say like that, or?
I think just a lot of teachers don't go that far.
Okay.
Like you have to go and study in India pretty much.
Whoa.
And you have to, there's something, before you're allowed to move on to the next one, there's certain things you have to have mastered about the one before. And I'm not sure what it is, but it's actually quite hard to teach the next stages. So obviously you can practice it on your own, but to actually find a class, like there are very, very few anywhere in the world that I've found.
So in UK, like you find like the good teacher, like to...
Well, when I started in the UK, I was practicing, I was doing Iyengar yoga first, because there was no Ashtanga in Aberdeen, which is where I was living. And I was just trying out different styles of yoga, because like yoga's so varied. You have to find a style you like, and you have to find a teacher you like.
Sure.
So you can like something, like a style, but you might not like the teacher, or the other way around. So, like I always say to people, like, don't give up on the first class. You know, like, try different styles, try different teachers, and then find the one you like. So I was still doing that, and then, you know, I was doing my cycling, and then my knees started giving way, and I found this woman on the internet who was in America, and I think her and her husband had like a CrossFit gym.
Okay.
And she was making videos, and she just had a baby, and her stomach was ripped, and I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do what she's doing. And she was vegan as well.
Okay.
And so was her husband. And so then I found like a place in Brisbane, which conveniently was right next door to my work. And so I started doing CrossFit, and like, I'd never been a gym person. Like, I'd done some stuff, like, you know, like, what was it, Kaibo,
elliptic,
kickboxing, that kind of thing. Again, when I lived in the UK, but I was never a gym person and had never really lifted weights. And so when I started lifting weights, I'm like, yeah, I like this.
I like it, like,
and
feeling
I liked
strong,
the variety of the different workouts, and, you know, my knees stopped hurting, but then I started having a lot of other injuries, which continue to this day. So I kept going, and then I moved here, and then there was no, because I've always lived around here in Bella Vista or now Marbella, and there was no CrossFit here. And then I was walking to, like, literally a couple of months after I came, and I was walking to Reba Smith, and it's like the Lab opening soon. And I was like, oh, what's this? And it had yoga and it had CrossFit, and I was like, perfect.
Exactly, because we start with yoga. It's true, like, I remember, like, we start with yoga and CrossFit, and it's pretty interesting, like, to come back, like, what you said, like, before, that you were not like a gym person, because a lot of people, like, start CrossFit not being a gym person, because, like, they get bored, like, about, like, going in a commercial gym, or maybe, like, they don't know how to lift, like, weights, or maybe they are afraid, or they don't know what to do. So a lot of people start, like, in a CrossFit style, like, gym, like, and once you feel, like, stronger, you feel, like, better, you start to feel, like, more self-confident, and so you want more. But then, like, so you were saying, so your knee was still hurting, and then, like, other injury came up like with the practice of CrossFit, and you start, like, in the lab, and we're speaking, like, a lot about that. So tell, like, a little bit, like, about, like, all your injury, all your it was nice, because, like, actually, like, I remember you do, like, a lot of, like, physio, like, session, like, with a physiotherapist. Even I remember, like, once, like, you came back to Australia, and you met, like, someone else, and you did, like, other therapy. But then, like, it was like every time you were feeling, like, you were like, hey, Michael, you know, like, my hamstring, I have, like, you know, it's, like, better, but I still, like, feeling it. So just, like, tell a little bit about that.
So this injury happened when I was in Australia, actually, at CrossFit. So in my left, basically the top of my leg, where your leg joins your ass.
On the back leg, like, on the
so I have high hamstring tendinopathy there, and this is just something that's never gone away. Like, I still have it now, but I go through periods where it's better. So it hasn't flared up in a while. It's been a while since it's hurt.
Long
but
time,
there were like periods here where it was hurting a lot, and I had to really restrict, you know,
range of motion, workout, everything.
In particular,
we try a lot of things, like take off movement, reduce the range of motion, try to do, like, other movement, stretching, like with the yoga you were doing, like a lot, and even like therapy, like with the physiotherapist. And every time and we are speaking about that, like, it was before COVID.
Oh yeah, this is
it's like so a long time ago that you're, like, dealing with this pain.
Yeah, so that's the main one that I've had the longest. And then the other ones have been more like arm injuries. And it's interesting because it's generally in my right arm. So when I started lifting, this was something that was there, but it never affected me in yoga. So doing like overhead
movement.
I would feel it's not pain. It's like a tightness in my tricep. And so that would kind of restrict some of the movement in this arm. But then more recently, I've just had a range of issues come up. So just before the lockdown, I started getting arthritis in this hand. I have dermatitis in this hand. And then now, like, it's terrible. I can't lift wall balls anymore. Like, now I've been suffering from like this bicep injury, which came from doing wall balls. And just before the lockdown, when I went back to Australia and Bali for 3 months, I was in Bali, like terrible, I know, but I was on a snorkeling tour, and there was so much ocean swimming that day. And like when we lived in the same building, like I was doing a lot of swimming in our pool. So I didn't have any problems with the swimming. But the next day I woke up and my whole shoulder, again, this arm, had just locked up. And I was on Gili Meno, which is an island between Bali and Lombok. And I was supposed to get the boat back to Bali because I was leaving in a week to go to Australia. And I literally, like, I couldn't do anything. There was no way I could carry my backpack. My backpack weighed about 15 kilos. And, like, I couldn't do anything. I was in so much pain. I was on this little island that you could, like, literally walk around in 40 minutes. And there was doctors everywhere, like tourist doctors, like so many. And I'm like, is there a physio? Is there a physio?
Looking for like,
and they're like, no,
are you a physio?
No. And because it was so, it's probably the most painful thing that I've had in my life. Like, it was so bad.
And in holiday, like in Bali with the backpack, like alone, you're like, damn, how are you going to do it?
I'm lucky that my flight wasn't like the next day or something. But I was in this cafe, and I was talking to this German woman who I'd met on the island, because, you just meet people when you're traveling. And I was telling her, and she's like, oh, there's a physio down at the yoga place. She's working there. She's a German physio. She's teaching yoga. And I'm like, thank you, universe. And so I went down there and I saw her, and I'm like, are you whatever her name was? And she's like, yes. And I just started crying, and I'm like, please help me. Like, I literally would have paid her anything. And
of course, because that's the thing. Like, when you're like in the pain like that and block, you could pay like whatever, like just like take me off like this pain, because it's like awful. Yeah,
so she did a couple of sessions on me, and then like like even after the first one, the next day it was significantly better.
Okay.
And so after that, like whatever she did, she just worked her magic. And I was very grateful that I found the one physio on Gili Meno who happened to be teaching yoga.
Watching like the podcast, like, thank you.
Thank you.
You say like,
yes,
you say that
you're
right.
An angel. And so after that, I was able to then go back to Bali and get my flight and everything. But then when I came back, so that was just before the lockdown. And so I think I was here for like at the lab for about a month before everything shut down.
Yeah.
And even then, like, I was very cautious because like I just had this injury, and I'm like, I don't want to lift anything too heavy.
Overhead and
like
everything.
I'm scared.
I remember
my
like
hand
we took off like all the wobble, everything. I remember.
Yeah. And so having the year off was actually pretty good. But then, you come back and you've got no strength, and then Waterfi's gone. So I had no idea, like I still don't know what any of my like 1 rep maxes are from back in the day when I was actually strong. Because I'm so much weaker now. But so I don't know.
I mean, like, just like the dog like playing. But like, I mean, like, you were stronger for sure. But like every time like struggling like with those pain, that at the end, like, you want to get stronger, but you have like every time you have like this frustration, like in your head, like, oh damn, like I feel pain there. Or you're gonna see like maybe wall ball like on the screen. Oh, today I'm gonna have like wall ball. Hey Michael, like, can I change like the movement and everything? So it's like a lot of like frustration like in your head, and it's not easy like dealing with the pain when you want to train, when you want to be strong and everything, and you have like those injury. It's not easy, and even like if we take off like the movement, it's just gonna solve like the problem for a while. But then like you didn't solve the problem, like you still have this pain and you still like cannot do this movement, and you want to do this movement because the other people like are doing this movement, so you're like, damn, why me, like I cannot do this movement? So you get like a lot of like frustration and stress. So it's like it starts to be like stressful when you train, because oh no, this I cannot do, oh I have to reduce the range of motion and everything, and it's not easy.
No.
So during the COVID, then like the lockdown like start, and we spoke like a lot about like more like spirituality, about like connecting like with the wild. Like I remember like you were going like to the Cinta Costera, like walking like without shoes, like in the grass to connect.
I still do that.
That's great. That's great. Can you explain, like, because like the people, they're gonna say like, oh, she's crazy, but actually I think like the society is getting like mad, and we are getting like, and I was like listening a podcast like last time, that right now like with the metaverse like word that Facebook gonna create, our digital life actually gonna be like more important than our like actual life. And actually we are born like on this planet to connect with this planet, and a lot of people, they don't go outside, they don't know like what to do, they don't do like anything. So just like speak about that, like the spirituality side, and all the sorry, we have like the dog that they are playing like around
the cable up.
Oh yeah, the cable.
Well,
he's gonna take the cable.
I'll let you sort that.
Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah. So I guess it was in 2019, and
when the lockdown started.
No, this is when I started becoming much more spiritual.
Okay.
And because I was introduced to ayahuasca, the plant medicine, which basically, you know, I mean, it's a healing medicine, but it also opens up the other realms around you.
And even like in Billionaire, like the series, the TV series that you have in Netflix, they are going like to, they go to do that. So actually it's getting like always like more famous and more famous. But continue, like tell us like your experience about that.
So I mean, I heard about it like years ago when I was traveling in South America, but it wasn't my time to do it, because when it's your time, like ayahuasca will call you, and you'll know, like you will know, it's like, right, I have to do it.
Like, yeah, I'm ready for it.
I'm ready, and then you're just like, I need to do it, and the universe will move
everything like
everything
to do it,
to get you to do it. And so I went to Costa Rica originally, and so I spent a week at an ayahuasca retreat there, because it's legal in Costa Rica, it's a grey area in Panama, and then it's legal in a bunch of South American countries. So when I came back from Costa Rica, I've done it like in Panama as well. The titers come up from Colombia.
Okay.
And like they come quite regularly, actually.
So
cool. You know,
who's interesting?
So I can, if you want to know, hit me up. I can get you in contact with people.
That's good.
And then I went to Colombia, and that was the last time I did it, was in Colombia. And after that, it was really interesting because it calls you, but it also tells you when you're done. And so the last session I did in Colombia, it was like, that's it. You don't need it anymore.
And how do you feel it? Like you feel like you hear a voice? Is like, can you tell us like about like, because like for example, like me, I hear like so much about that, and I'm like so curious, but at the same time I'm like really afraid, because like I'm really afraid about like facing my problem, because you open like everything, so you can see like good thing, you can see like bad thing, and you have to face like all your problem, and it's not easy. That's why like you have to be ready, like as you said, like. And so can you tell us like a little bit like how it works, like what you feel? Do you see something? Do you hear something?
It can be all of those things.
Okay.
It can be some of those things. It really, like, it's hard to say because the medicine will give you what you need. Okay. And so you don't control it. It controls you. Okay. So you can set your intention at the beginning, like, of a session before you take the first dose. Uh-huh. And it might give it to you on that night, or it might give it to you on a different night, or it literally might give it to you 2 years later when you're washing dishes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But basically all my intentions have been met, although not always in the order that I wanted them and not always when I thought I was going to get them. That's
why like you have to be ready, because like you have to face those things like you don't know when you have to face them, but you know that you're gonna need to face them. So yeah, but it will only bring up what needs to be brought up, like at the time. Like it won't give you visions of hell if you can't handle it, you know. Okay. So whatever it shows you, you can handle. And I think if you remember that, then you're good. Because I've like gone into like near-death experiences and like crazy stuff. Most of it's been pretty good. Okay. But I've like had demon experiences. I've had near-death, like basically seeing beyond death. Like all this stuff, which was quite scary. Yeah, but at the same time, you're like, because it's not like drinking alcohol where you just black out. Like you're conscious the whole time. So you can remember stuff. So your body feels quite drunk and you might have trouble walking around. But like mentally, you're there. You just in interacting with like other dimensions. It's unless you've done like mushrooms or ayahuasca or any of those kind of plant medicines, it's hard to explain. I can imagine. Yeah. I can imagine. And like the they say like that we use like less than 10% of our brain, and it's crazy like because they say like when you do that, your activity, like your mental activity is like exploding up. Like it's crazy like how like the connection, the neuron, like all your system, like they're like in fire, like working so much more. Yeah. So it's crazy that you can see all the thing and connecting like with you, with your past, with like beyond the death. It's crazy. Yeah. And so sometimes like I've had really strong visions. Like I actually haven't met anybody else who's done ayahuasca who's had visions like I've had. Like they've been really, really strong. Okay. Like people do have visions, and I don't know if it's because, I did water fasting before the first one. Okay. And I always, I follow a vegan diet. So I'm always like very clean going in. And so I think that helps. Sure. But, then there's been other nights where I haven't seen anything, and it's been more just feeling things. Okay. So you can have purging nights where like feelings come up and like things that have happened to you mostly in your childhood, that come up and you release them. So they tend to be much more feelings based rather than visuals. Okay. But then and you clean yourself. Yeah, but then other nights it's just been like, oh my God, what am I looking at here? Like, this is insane. Yeah, can you imagine? So it really varies. It really varies, and it varies on person to person. So you can't predict it, and it depends. Sure, it depends on the medicine. It depends on like the shaman or the Taiter, if it's somebody from Colombia. And be careful because a lot of shaman like actually like just like organize some tour, but they're like just like for tourists, just like
Yeah.
crappy stuff. So just like be careful. You have to look for like the good one, and it's not for everyone. You have to be
No.
ready. So it's not like a tourist thing. Like, hey, that's good. Like we just gonna have like one more trip, you know, and try it. It's not like that. You have to be ready for that if you want the full experience and the full thing like coming out.
Yeah. So I think that's why I tend to say stay away from Peru, because that's where most of like the
Commercial,
and the fake shamans.
Okay.
And there's a lot of dodgy black magic stories that come out of those retreats in Peru. So I always say, even though they're cheap compared to the other ones in Costa Rica, like the ones in Costa Rica, they're high end, but like you feel safe, which is why
Okay.
I went there first.
Exactly.
But then, so I like, if you've got the money and you want to feel safe,
Go
Costa
there.
Rica is your
is
place.
the best.
But I think for a more authentic experience, like Colombia is probably
Okay.
the best place, because there's a lot of, like the way they prepare the ayahuasca is different. Like they call it yahe, and it's the same two plants, but I don't know, they do something a little different. And then you've got the titers instead of the shamans, and you know, they're like, it's much less commercialized. So I like Colombia. And then Panama, I mean, obviously it's easy to do it here. You just have to be on the list, and then you can find out where they are. And they all come up from Colombia, and you know, you like, everybody knows which ones are the good titers.
Okay.
And there's only really one that I've heard of that's a bit
Okay.
so yeah.
It'll be like,
And as for Brazil, I'm not really sure. I don't know. They've got some like weird. They tie it in with some kind of like religion thing as well.
Okay.
So I don't know about that one. Like I'd probably go, not really.
not really.
But yeah.
We're not sure about. So as you were saying, like Anne-Marie, you were clean, like let's say, like clean, like before the experience, because like you're doing like a vegan diet. So actually, like the let's say like the vegan movement is like growing and growing, and
Yeah.
people like they start to open like the eyes a little bit about like all the benefit and all the cruelty as well on the animal, but like a lot of about like the benefit. And so we spoke like a lot about that. I'm not vegan, you are, but like I try to reduce like a lot my animal protein, and actually like I'm getting like benefit. Just like if we speak about like the sleep, my sleep, like how much better if I don't eat like meat at night. So a lot of stuff, but like, so always like you follow like a good nutrition. And when we start back, like after it was like when the lockdown, like say like finished, like we could like reopen the gym. You told me like, hey Mike, I gonna start, like you were starting before actually with the juice.
Ah, yeah. So I mean, my diet, like I haven't eaten meat in 30 years.
30 years, guys. 30
30.
years. It's not like for the last trend, like last year, like hey, I'm
No.
gonna be like vegan on Sunday.
No.
No, it's like 30 years.
So I was vegetarian for 20 years.
Okay.
And, you know, I went vegetarian when, like, well, nobody was vegan at the time. Maybe a few people like Sting and you know, some celebrities and people in India maybe. But, like, nobody was vegetarian. And I got all these questions, like, where are you getting your protein? Where are you getting your iron? You're going to die.
Yeah, because
like,
now you have like so
that.
much information on Google, but I can imagine like 30 years ago you were like, shit, like what
And I was living in France at the time.
It was like much harder, like,
and it was so hard. Like I was going to school there, and every day they'd go to put meat on my lunch.
Yeah,
and I'd be like, pas de viande.
Because like our culture, like in France, we like so much meat. Like me, I grew up like in the countryside, and we had like meat at lunch, dinner. So I grew up like eating meat, good meat, because I had the chance like to be in the countryside. So my grandfather like was buying the meat about like his friend. I was doing like everything like, let's say, like organic, that at the time it wasn't called organic. It was just like small production without using like crazy stuff. But yeah, we have this culture about like eating meat, so I can imagine that it wasn't like
hard.
easy.
It was hard. It was a test. And then, I mean, obviously, there were no vegetarian options in restaurants or anything. So this went on for a while, and then vegetarianism kind of caught on and became mainstream. And then it's like I'm a trend ahead on food. And then it was like, I need to go vegan. And so I went vegan 10 years ago, well, almost 11 now. And same thing. Where do you get your protein? Where do you get this? Where do you get that? You're gonna die. Like, no vegan options anywhere. And so I went through the whole thing again, but it's like, no, I've got the answers now because I've already been doing this for 20 years. And so, you know, over the past, so it was literally like going vegetarian in the 90s. And over the last, I'd say, probably 5 to 7 years, about the same amount of time I've been doing CrossFit, like veganism has become more mainstream, and it's become much easier. I mean, you can buy vegan products like in supermarkets now.
Yeah, we have like even like the restaurant next to the gym, like
here.
Planticeria with Idemi, that we did like a podcast about like the vegan movement. And so now like it's pretty easy, and even like the flavor, like everything now, like you have like so good stuff. I ate it like yesterday over there, and it was like it was really good. So now like you have much more like choice and everything.
Yeah, and the thing that's improved the most is vegan cheese.
Yeah,
like it's so much better now.
Actually, like I tried like in Planticeria, they have like parmesan that they do like with the almond.
Oh yeah.
And it's insane because like the let's say like the feeling the is like exactly the same, and you're like, damn, like it's like a parmesan but it's like from almond, and it's crazy. So now like you have like cheese, you have like you have so much stuff, so much choice.
Yeah, so that was going fine, and like I can't see why I would never not be vegan.
Okay.
Like, and as I got into veganism, I got much more into the animal side of it. Like I was already into the animal side, but becoming vegan just opened my eyes much more to how the animal industry, it just exploits animals so badly in every possible way. Like the amount of ingredients, just little things here and there, like something that you think is vegan, and then they go and put some animal ingredient, and you're like, why does this need to be in there? You know? And so it really kind of opened my eyes, and I stopped buying like leather shoes, and like just really trying to minimize as much as possible my consumption of animal products. And that's been going great. And then a couple of months ago, it's probably maybe 6 months ago. Like I was basically eating a cooked vegan diet. So lots of like chickpeas or garbanzo, lentils, rice, potatoes, like basically the starches. And, you know, curries, love Thai curries, love Indian curries, like all that kind of stuff. And I just, like I wasn't feeling good. And I thought, okay, I need to change up my diet here. Like, what am I going to do? And I don't even know how this happened, but suddenly juicing was in front of me.
Okay.
And I started watching these videos, and this is the interesting thing, because the people who I watched on YouTube, like the two main guys who've been kind of in this movement for like 30 and 50 years, like I already knew about them. Like one is a juice guy and the other one is like a natural doctor. And so I'd already it's like the ayahuasca.
Yeah,
like I wasn't ready at the time, but they both came back around into my awareness. And I started watching like John Rose. I can give you the links so you can post them.
We can put it like in the description.
And he has literally juiced thousands of people back to health. and he's been juicing for 30 years, and but he'd only done like 30-day juice fasts, and I've done like 30 days in the past. The first one I did was 30 days, and then I've done, this is in Australia as well, like I hadn't done any juicing in Panama, and then I had done like a couple of 14-day ones, and I think I did a week here and there. So it wasn't my first time at juicing. And then he was saying to like really like clean out the digestive system, like you have to go for a minimum of 3 months, like 90 days
3 months
to get everything out. Because what he found was like he would do it and all this old waste would start coming out, but then he would stop at 30 days. And then he just decided one day, I'm just going to keep going until it's all out. And 90 days seemed to be the magic number. And so this is a couple of months ago, and I just thought, well, because of all the COVID bullshit that's going on, I'm not traveling anywhere in the next 6 months.
I'm gonna do it.
Like,
I have time to do it.
like, I've got time. Like, what else am I doing? Like, now is the perfect time. And I was like, I needed to just do something different. And so I bought a juicer, and then I just started juicing. And the first, like, I have written down some of my symptoms here, because,
right.
I mean, it wasn't easy in the beginning because we are so damaged.
Yeah. For a lot of things, like
by all the foods that we eat, because we eat the wrong foods. And so even like this is what John Rose, like you can go through and like he's like literally got so many videos where he talks about these things. But he talks about, and this is relevant to CrossFit, I think, particularly the vegan diet and comparing it with the paleo diet. So he talks about like the 5 mistakes that humans make when it comes to food. And I can't remember what 3 of them are, but 2 of them. So the paleos, they've cut out grains, but they're still eating cooked food. So they're making 2 mistakes, but it's better than your like standard American diet, your SAD diet or standard anywhere diet these days, since everybody eats the same thing. And then he compares it with the vegan diet. So the vegans have cut out like the meat and the animal products, but they're still eating cooked food. So, and the problem with cooked food is it becomes very sticky in like the gut.
Okay.
And so this is why we have so much accumulated waste.
And the gut, like, sorry if I stop you, like they call it like the second brain, because actually the studies show up that we have the same tissue like that compose like your brain, the same tissue like are on your gut. So what you eat actually has like a crazy impact about like hormone, about like your humor, about what you sleep, about your libido, about like inflammation, about everything. You have like a second brain here, and we don't know, and we put like literally shit inside every day, eating like bad product, like the bad thing that you can eat, like we eat like every day without knowing that. Yeah,
like literally from the day you're born. You know,
exactly.
So what it can be, like if your mother breastfed you, you know, that was okay. But like if she couldn't breastfeed for whatever reason and you went straight on to formula, like you've literally been consuming
all the powder,
mucus forming foods and starting to line your gut from the day you were born.
It's crazy.
It's insane. And so like I watched all these John Rose videos and I'm like, yep, I'm going to do it. And so it's hard for the first like couple of weeks, or not even the first couple, like the first week or so, because juicing is very different to how you normally prepare food. You know, so you need to buy a lot of fresh produce, you need your juicer, and then you need to work out, am I going to juice it all in one go in the morning? You know, am I going to juice throughout the day? Do I need to juice the night before? Like, so you need to work out how you can fit it into your routine. So, and it takes a while as well. Like, you know,
to adapt
juicing,
yourself.
and then you've got to work out how much juice you actually need to like be able to, you know, go about your daily activities, because it's not like water fasting. So I've done like juicing now, water fasting, and I've also done dry fasting, where you don't consume anything. And like they're all very different, and they all like provide different benefits, I guess. So it's like if you've done water fasting or if you've done dry fasting, like dry fasting is so hard, but we can talk about that because I did do a little bit of dry fasting within this juice fasting.
That's good.
But like, so with the juice, you need to work out how much you need a day. So I think it's minimum, they say minimum like 3 or 4 liters or something.
Liters.
And so for me, the magic number turned out to be about 5.5 liters.
And when you speak about like 5.5 like liters, do you consume as well like water on the side, or
No.
you don't drink? Okay, so
No, because this is the thing, like juice, it's the perfect water. Like Mother Nature structures it perfectly for us.
Okay.
So you don't need to consume this like extra water, which is basically, you know, full of pharmaceuticals and chlorine and like whatever else if you're on juice, because you're getting like maximum hydration from the juice. So you're never thirsty. And like even now, I'm still drinking juice because I just really, really like it. And I'm now drinking around 3 liters a day and then having food as well. But I don't drink any additional water except for like 1 cup of tea in the morning. That's it.
Okay.
So you kind of need to work all this stuff out. At the same time, and this has happened to me before, like when I did that 30-day juice fast like years ago, which I feel like was preparation for this one. And so like the first week you feel fantastic, because basically you're giving your body a rest from all the crap that you've been consuming. Although if you drink coffee, like a lot of people have problems coming off coffee.
Yeah, me.
So I've never really been addicted to coffee. So actually, funny story. The last coffee I had was with you and Priscilla, like when we came out of lockdown.
During the lockdown, yeah, I remember.
So that was like, when was that? Like November last year?
Yeah, it was just like when they start like to open again, and like the coffee start to open again, and it was like, yeah, it could be like November, December, I think.
Yeah, so like I said to you, I only really drink coffee once a year or something. That's correct. So I've never had the caffeine withdrawal. So generally I always felt good from day one. But if you're going through caffeine, then you might have like headaches and things like that.
Exactly.
And so depending on how bad your diet is to start with will determine basically that first week for you. So one thing that's recommended, and I didn't do this, but like if you're coming from a standard diet, is like, you know, take 2 weeks, a month, whatever, and sort of get yourself onto like a fruit and vegetable diet. Like start incorporating them before you start juicing, you know.
Okay.
So start transitioning in.
So it's not like in one step, like you. Okay.
So I think that's good advice for people who are coming from like a standard diet. But for me, the detox really kicked in week 2.
Okay.
And so.
What do you mean by kick it? Like, do you mean like you felt like
I
felt
sick.
Okay.
Like, let me have a look at my my symptoms here that I wrote down, because I kept a spreadsheet the whole time.
That's good.
And so
like a kind of journal, like a.
Yeah. So for the first 14 days, I had headaches. I had super vivid dreams.
Okay.
Which was interesting. So that was a good one. I had brain fog. I had stomach aches.
What do you mean by brain fog?
Just feeling really fuzzy in the head. Stomach aches, like waking up, just feeling sick in the stomach, feeling nauseous all day. So that's the only week that I took off CrossFit. Because I couldn't come.
Yeah, because you were training. That's good, like to say that, like you were training on the side. Like she was training like CrossFit almost every day.
Yeah. And then my nose just kept running as well.
Okay.
And I knew, like, it's not COVID. It was just, like, this is detox. I had really shit sleep. So I was getting about 3 hours sleep a night, and then I'd just be awake. But interestingly, I wasn't tired.
Okay.
Like I would just get 3 hours sleep. So I go to bed early. Like I go to bed at 8:30.
Okay.
And by 11:30 I'd be awake. And then I'd just like lie there awake until 5 when I got up.
Okay.
So, but then I was never tired during the day. So, you know.
That's good.
And then, so they were like the main ones in the first 14 days. And then after that, like I started feeling really good. And so it's like, I was good, I went down. Oh, and I had like parasites coming out as well.
Okay.
And here's something, like pretty much everybody has parasites.
Yeah.
But if you eat meat, guaranteed.
No, for sure.
Guaranteed.
Like for sure, it's crazy. Like everyone like has a parasite, but like with the meat, it's like so much more.
Yeah. And so I had a few of them coming out. I had candida die-off happening, like basically, you know, when you've got the white on your tongue.
Okay.
So all that, like, and I think this is what was making me sick.
And this is happening like after 14 days?
Oh, no,
or
sorry.
During
this is during the 14 days.
The 14 first days, so you had this.
And then I worked out that because I was drinking a lot of orange juice and pineapple juice, which are very, very astringent.
One that she bring me today.
Yeah, I love it. And so I was drinking all this very, very astringent juice, and I think like it was just pulling. Like, you know, if I'd stuck to watermelon juice or something or apples, like it would have been much more gentle. But it's like, nope, I'm going for the citrus. I'm like pulled.
Pulling it.
Yeah. So, and after 2 weeks, like I watched some videos and I found that out, and I was like, okay, that's why I have felt so sick.
and when you start to feel, I mean, you had like already experience with detox, but when you start like to feel like all this stuff, you didn't think at one moment that, oh, maybe I'm not like it's not good for me, or maybe, or you were like, okay, it's under control, I have to face that and it's gonna pass.
So this is the thing, is that everything you're experiencing is detox.
Okay.
And you're either mentally okay with that or you're not. So this is the thing about juicing, like it cleanses you, and changes you physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So if you're going to do it, like all three of those things are going to come back, and I will tie that back into like ayahuasca and everything else. But so I was like, okay, this is detox, because fruit is the highest vibrational food available to us. Like it is our natural food. It is the food of our species. Like we are frugivores. If you look at our digestive system, like everything. And so it's very high in energy. Like you can watch videos on YouTube of people charging their phones from an orange. Like that's how much energy is in it.
It's true. I've seen this video. It's true.
So it's full of life. And so it's up here. And that's where we want to be spiritually. And I think this is why, like, you just, like, once you start cleaning yourself out, like, you just rise in vibration, because you're consuming, like, nothing but living foods. Sorry, I haven't been speaking in close to the microphone. Whereas vegetables are, like, lower down. So if you are experiencing a lot of detox symptoms, because I was doing pretty much 100% fruit, but I would add in just some greens into my last one. But I don't love greens, to be honest. We're not herbivores, you know. We don't have 4 stomachs. We're not supposed to be just eating greens. I mean, think about it. Like, would you rather have a mango or would you rather have a bag of spinach with no dressing or anything? Like,
mango all the life.
I mean, so I don't want to like say bad things about the vegetables and the greens. They have their place, but fruit is where it's at. And so I was pretty much just consuming fruit. But if you are having a lot of detox symptoms, or you've got like, I don't know, something major and it's causing you a lot of hassle, like you can drop down to vegetable juices as well, just to ease off the detox a bit. So that was all in the first 2 weeks. And then, like, my energy was awesome. And so I came back to CrossFit in week 3, and it's like, yeah, let's go. I'm going. And so all the workouts, like the actual, like the Metcon bit, like they were all great. But, and my strength was still okay at that time. Like everything was really good. And then Jorge came up to me and he's like, "You look like you've lost like
so
6 pounds or something." I'm like, what the hell is 6 pounds? So like, and it was, I don't know, 3 kilos or something.
Yeah.
And so the next day I weighed myself and I was like, "Ooh, I have." But everything was good. Everything was good. My sleep was better. Everything was good until about day 30.
So after 1 month.
Yeah, and that's when I noticed that I had quite a lot of strength loss. So that's when my strength started going down. And I already knew this was going to happen. So this is like, if you're working out, like you have to prepare yourself mentally. So in the first like 2 weeks, basically, I had to prepare myself for weight loss because, I mean, I wasn't overweight at all. You know, I started at 46 kilos and pretty much my whole adult life, I've been between 44 and 51. So 51 is the fattest I've ever been.
Okay.
And that's when I was drinking a lot and just going out all the time and, you know, living that kind of life. And so, and I never really liked how I looked at 44. You know, I was like, oh, what happens? And then I know that we carry, you know, 5 to 10 kilos of shit in our stomachs. And if you're like really obese, then it could be, you know, 15 kilos, you know. So we're all carrying at least 5 kilos worth of extra weight just in shit. And so I thought, okay, well, you know, that takes me down to the low 40s. And then I thought, well, if I lose weight as well, like, am I okay with going into a number that starts with a 3? And that was freaking me out. Like, I had to work through that to be okay with it. And I also had to work through losing strength at CrossFit. Now, at the same time, I had this bicep injury going on because the two things kind of overlapped of when I started. Yeah,
and even like the arthritis, like I remember, and like the inflammation just like moved down.
Yeah, so then I'm like going to lift and I'm like, oh, I can't lift as much.
I remember we started like to lower the weight like during the workout. Yeah,
and it's like, well, is it the juicing? Is it the bicep? Because I literally couldn't do any overhead movements for about 6 weeks or something. Yeah. You know, so like I know it was a combination of both, but I had to be okay with that. And so you're fighting your ego the whole time.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And so this is where the emotional stuff really comes in, because all these programs that you're running around, like how you should look and lifting and I don't know, like whatever else you've got going, that's stopping you from doing juicing, like they all come up.
Okay.
All of them come up and you either work through them or you stop. And so now I don't care. I'm like, whatever.
I live like what I can lift and that's it. I'm happy like that.
Yeah. And then my final weight got down to 38 kilos.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I know I look like the bride of Skeletor, but whatever. Like, I was okay. When it hit 40 and then it went down, I was like, I don't like this, but I've mentally prepared for it. None of my clothes fit me, which is one of the annoying side effects, but it's okay because I've let that go.
Yeah.
You know, so it's this process of just letting go, because all these things will come up. Like, yeah.
And like physically, you didn't feel like more tired. You didn't feel like
no.
Okay.
No. So the only thing that was like not good in CrossFit was A, none of my clothes fit. B, my ass completely disappeared by day 30, like gone. And so it's like, okay, well, that was all fat. So now I'm like half thinking, should I just quit CrossFit and just do personal training with Priscilla and just doing booty training 5 days a week? And then my boobs shrunk a bit as well.
Okay.
But I mean, I already knew there was nothing there anyway, but now there's even less. So, you know, but I knew these things would happen because...
Okay. So you were like mentally prepared, ready for that, like facing that. So you were feeling it, but you were like, I knew it, so let's continue.
Yeah, I mean, and you do become self-conscious of it. Like you're like, oh, everybody's looking at me. I've got no ass.
Yeah.
You know, and so you have to work through these things. So like it brings up all your insecurities that you have about yourself. But then once you let him go, you're like, whatever, I don't care. Like, I'm not even wearing any makeup today, you know, like, I don't care. So this is, when you get through it, like, it's good. And so all that went great. Like, my arthritis went away at day 38.
That's crazy.
And so then, like, once you start getting at least a month in, like, you're cleaning out so much stuff. Like, seriously, the amount of shit that comes out every day, it's just incredible. And it's kind of fun because you wake up in the morning and you're like, what's going to come out today? Like, it's literally like that. Like, what's going to come out and how much is going to come out? And you can tell that it's old stuff. Like, it's not what you ate yesterday. Because this is the thing with juices. Like, you're taking out all the indigestible fiber. So you're giving your digestive system a rest, which means the juice just goes in and it rehydrates all the old stuff so it can move it out.
Okay.
And at the same time, your body's not using energy to, like, process the new food to try, because it takes so much energy to digest food. So then the body starts going, ooh, what else can we fix here? And so things come up, like, you know, like my thumb, which I hurt, you know, just before we went into lockdown, that came up again. It's like, why is that hurting? You know, like, random things just started hurting and then they go away. And so it's weird, like, but it's awesome because you're consuming this high vibrational food, you're feeling great, you look shit. Well, you might look shit. It depends. If you're looking at behind, you look shit. If you're looking in the mirror, like, your skin's looking pretty good, like, yeah. So I'd say the benefits at this point are outweighing, you know, the costs.
And how long like you did, like, all this detox?
I went for 120 days in total.
Wow. So you did like 30 days more, like 1 month more, that the doctor said like
yeah. So the reason was, like, I got to 90 days and I wasn't clean.
Okay.
Like, there was still old stuff coming out, and I thought, well, I'm just going to keep going.
When you said, like, old stuff, like, coming out, how did you feel it?
Well, you can tell, like, you can just see it, and you're like, yeah, that's not new. That's been in there a while. And so I kept going, and, like, I still felt good. So it's like...
So, like, keep going.
So I just kept going. But then around the day, like, in the 40s, that's when, like, the downloads, the spiritual downloads started coming in.
Okay.
And so, like, I was still doing my barefoot walking, doing a lot of meditation, and there was one day, and this happens to pretty much everybody, this is like an ayahuasca level experience, which is why, you know, you really don't need ayahuasca to like, mentally heal. Like, you can do it on
your own
other things. And so I wasn't expecting this because I'd already cleared out a lot of stuff on ayahuasca. And then, what day was it? Day 43. And I don't know, I was just going about my day, and all these things around, like, my relationship with my mother started just coming to me. And I never had a bad relationship with my mum. Like, it was fine, you know, better than a lot of people's. But at the same time, there was always this, like, resentment that I felt towards her. But it was just, like, in the background, you know. It wasn't a major thing, but it's always been there. And this is something I never considered. And then all these, like, realizations started coming to me about why. And it goes back to when I was 6, and we, like, me and my sister and brother, we were with my dad in Fiji at the time, because we were living in Fiji.
Nice.
And my mom was back in Australia because she had some health issues. So this is why, like, I've never held anything against her for not being there, because I know why she was there, you know. But something major happened, and this 6-year-old version of me was so traumatized by being abandoned by my mother at that time that I built this wall up around me
to protect yourself.
Yep. And it's affected, Like as soon as I saw it, like I could see exactly how it had affected my relationship with my mother, but also with my friends, with ex-boyfriends, like everything.
Everyone.
It all came, and then it was just like this release, like crying.
And this thing like come out during like the juice detox.
This was day 43, over the space of maybe 6 hours or something, because bits would come in and then they'd come in and then I'd be okay, and then like another bit would come in and I'm just like, oh my God. And so after that, and then I had like a major release as well, physically, because this is, you know, like we emotionally eat, you know, so all this stuff, like it's all connected. And so it was all stored in there, like the emotional side, the physical side, like it was all there. And as soon as it came out, like I just felt like light. And I have a friend, he lives out near Santiago, and he comes into Panama like once a month to do massage, and like he's very into like the energetic, you know, the chakras. Like he can tell where your energetic blocks are, and he would always be doing my back, and he's like, you need to release this, like release it, basically around my the back of my solar plexus. And I'd be like, I don't know what it is. Like I can't release something when I don't know what it is. And then he came to Panama about a week later, and he's like, oh my God, like all your like energy centers are clear. Like whatever that was, it's gone. Well, I told him, and he's like, yep, it's gone. And then, you know, I'd be walking and I'd just start getting like little downloads from the universe, like, that's what that is. Or, you know, things would just start making sense to me. And I was reading, well, actually I don't. I listen to a lot of like the spiritual texts, you know. And I'm listening to things like I've listened to the Bible, I've listened to the Nag Hammadi texts, I've listened to like the Egyptian texts, like all of them. If I can find them, I'm like, yeah, I'll listen to that. And I listen to them when I make my juice in the morning, because I have a lot of time, and I like it before I like get on the internet for the day, because then it, you know, like the internet will just bring you down. Whereas this, like listening to all these spiritual texts while you're making the juice, because the energy, you know, you affect what you're consuming. So I really like it. And then I'd be like, okay, I don't really understand how that connects together. And then I'd be like, you know, God, the universe, like whatever, you know, can you explain this to me? And then like little things would just drop in. I'd be like, that's what that is. And the same in meditation. And I know you experience this, is that it's very hard to meditate when your mind, because it's so hard to like stop the monkey mind.
Yeah, it's going like
just
crazy.
But what I noticed, like particularly from maybe around day 80 or so, was that when I meditated, it was much easier to clear the mind. And yeah, and so that was really nice. So now, like when I meditate, I tend to go into, it's almost like being in a dream. And then, but I'm sitting there, although sometimes I'm like, you know, but then it's also like a dream, in as soon as I come out, it's like, I have no idea where I just was.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's been really good. And then, you know, like the elevation, like it just raises you. Like I just experience these levels of joy now in my day. You know, and even all this bullshit that's going on in the world,
you just, like put
out
it on
there,
side.
You know, I can look at it now, and I can be much more neutral about it. It's like,
that's good.
But if I find a trigger, then I work on that. It's like, okay, why is this triggering me? What in me is not healed? That this is like pushing.
why this thing like is affecting like myself?
Yeah.
Like
Why is this poking me? You know. And so
that's cool.
Yeah. So I'm having a lot less of that now. I can like actually read a lot of things on Twitter and things like that, because I already quit Instagram and Facebook because
crazy.
I don't like them. But you know, so I can read Twitter and be on the internet, and I can be like, okay, this isn't triggering me. This is good. And then, you know, I can go into meditation and I can just be in the good vibes, send them out to everybody. If I'm, you know, if somebody's particularly annoying me, it's like, why is this person annoying me?
It's good.
Like, send out good energy so it comes back. You know,
like everything, like all the emotion and everything.
So
and cool.
So I feel like this is the world, the false world of all the bullshit that's going on, and I'm like above it.
And just like watching all the shit and say like, why people they react like that?
So it's being, you know, and this comes up in all those spiritual texts, like don't be in the world.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry, don't be of the world, be in the
world.
Or whichever way around it is, you know, like don't get caught up in it.
Yeah, because like people they get like so much like emotion, frustration about like everything, about a lot of stuff that they cannot control. And they don't focus about themselves, about like, as you said, like knowing like, okay, why I feel like that, why I have this emotion, why when something happened to me I have like this emotion, and analyze and say like, okay, this trigger, like what can I do next time, like to just like go around and just like, and just few people do that, and it's sad. And now like we are getting mad for, and we have like love with the media, Instagram, Facebook, everyone, like a lot of shit like going around and creating like more stress than we really have.
Yeah. So I mean, all this, and like the longer you're on the juice, like the more you just let go of. Like things, little things, they just come up, and you're just like, oh, I don't need that anymore. I don't.
And when you
like,
stop like after 4 months, so what made you like made you like decided to say like, okay, that's the day I'm stopping and I'm gonna introduce like food again?
Yeah, so I was getting close to, so the other thing I want to talk about before I, like, because it ties in, is the kidney filtration aspect. Okay. So, you know, like the juicing is really good at clearing out like the digestive waste, but it doesn't necessarily get your kidneys filtering. And so, you know, this is where the other doctor comes in. So he's been like basically using fruits and herbs to cure people of
which kind
everything.
Of herbs? Like depends, like.
Just I don't know. Just I don't even know. Like just you know, weeds.
Okay.
You know, like green things.
Yeah.
That Mother Nature provides for us to heal. Like, you know, you see animals go around and eat different things because they know what
even
herbs
the dog,
they
like
need.
when they want to clean themselves, like they eat like some grass and.
Yeah. So 99% of humans don't have filtering kidneys. Again, it's because we consume all this acidic food and it builds up and builds up. And I know this is why this arm is a problem, because my right side is, the kidney on my right side is worse at filtering than my left side. So I started like looking into all this kidney filtration stuff, and I was like, okay, well, I really need to get my kidneys filtering. And this probably came back into my awareness around day 60, day 70. Because I was like, I need to get all this lymph out, because I also know from looking at my eyes that like around my digestive tract, it was like full of lymph, and also sulfur from taking like antibiotics, and sulfur is super hard to get out, and it's also what like fungus focus on. So if you're like really into eating bread and stuff like that, it's the fungus in your gut. So you need to clear out, like you need to kill off the parasites, you need to kill off the fungus, you need to clear out the digestive tract, and you need to get your kidneys filtering. Like all these things need to happen. And so I was like, okay, I need to start focusing on kidney filtration, which is why I did the dry fast. Because one of the quickest ways to get your kidneys filtering is to like do maybe like a 26 to 30 hour dry fast.
Okay.
So just not consume anything. So technically I went 121 days, but one of those days was a full day of not consuming anything. And so that got my kidneys filtering, and then I started taking like some herbal tinctures as well, like to really get them going. So it took about, I think it was like 2-3 weeks to actually start to see consistent filtration. So what you're looking for is if you pee in a jar, not the one you're drinking out of, like you're looking for like white like white flecks, or you get like long white bits in it. Like whenever I get one of those long ones, I'm like, yeah, go kidneys, you know. And this is like it's all because our bodies are basically made up of fluids and cells. That's it. And you know, the cells need energy to do what they need to do, but as a byproduct they create waste. And because we're so acidic, like and our kidneys are blocked, and then you know, like we have like all this like mucus and biofilm in the gut, which is stopping nutrients and everything. Like it's a shit show. Like it's surprising we're still alive, really. We're so damaged. But like so I wanted to get these kidneys going, and like really get some of like the waste in this arm in particular, because I can see it. Like I've got a massive like line basically running down this arm, like of degenerative weakness, like by looking at my eyes, looking at iridology. And like as soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, well that explains this arm, you know. And so I want to really start clearing that out to see if I can solve these problems, because that's all it is. It's like the buildup of waste, like acidic waste. And like we know from like weightlifting, what happens when you lift? You create lactic acid. And if you're not getting it out, it's just staying in the body, making you sicker and sicker and sicker. So like as you get older, you know, it's these diseases that kick in. It's not really old age. It's just that you've been toxifying your body more and more and more and more, and then suddenly, you know, like you're so damaged, it's like, well, you get cancer, or you get heart disease, or you get like whatever, you know.
Interesting.
So you really need to work on like these two things together. So now my kidneys are going, like, I mean, even Gwen. So dogs have terrible, like their species has terrible kidney filtration, like all dogs. And that lump that was on her back, I mean, all that is lymph, because her kidneys don't filter properly. Sorry, Gwen,
all the
but
food.
they don't. Because they eat the wrong diet just as much as we do. Like they're omnivores, you know, but they're consuming grains, like they're consuming cooked foods, like they're a mess as much as we are. So that's what I've been focusing on. And then I got to like the 120 days, to bring it back to that, and I was like, okay, I still wasn't sure I was 100% clean, but at the same time, like I've got some things coming up in my life over the next sort of month or so, and I was like, I don't want to be coming off juicing and like just trying to organize that while this stuff's coming up. And so, because like if you've got a bad diet coming into it, you need to transition in, like you have to transition out, like regardless of who you are. And this is one of the most important like aspects of doing juicing. It's how you come off it, because you need to, like if you're on a long juice fast over, I don't even know what it is, but like more than a month or so, like you really need to take about 10 days to come off it. So on the first day, like you do a prune test where you soak prunes because they go through you really quick, and then you can see like if you start having a bowel movement within 3 hours, like you're clean, like there's nothing stopping, and then you juice for the rest of the day. Now I failed that prune test, but I also fucked it up. So I don't know if it was a combination of both or just one of them, but I was like, I'm going to stop it anyway, regardless, because this is the thing, like now that I've cleaned all that out, unless I put it back in, like I can pick up where I left off.
Exactly.
So I'm already planning to do another 30 days.
And now like you have to start like
good. So as long as I stay clean, like it's fine. So I did the prune test on the first day, and I was like, well, I don't even know what that means. I fucked it up, whatever. And then like the next couple of days, you can replace like some of your juice with like a juicy fruit. So something like papaya, mangoes, watermelon, like whatever you like, whatever's in season and you like. And so you do 1 meal a day of that, and you juice for the rest of the day. And then if that goes okay, because you've got to test and see if you're going okay, then you can introduce 2 juicy fruit meals a day. And then after that, you can introduce, I think it's like greens or something. You can swap one of your fruit meals for greens and more of your, like the salad type stuff. Because you've got the vegetable fruits as well, like your tomatoes, which are very juicy. Like I was craving papaya and tomatoes.
I can imagine. Yeah, you told me. I remember.
And so that's what I had. But you know, things like cucumbers, zucchinis, like whatever. And then after that, like once all this has gone okay, then you can introduce things like fats, like avocados and whatever else. And then after that,
and now did you feel like you felt like normal?
Good.
Okay.
But it's like the first. Like when you start taking the fruit meals, it's like the reason you have to be careful is because you've basically taken a nuclear bomb to your gut and like obliterated all the digestive enzymes and the mitochondria and everything. So this is why you have to be super careful. But then your stomach just goes, what the hell's all this?
And you feel like all the flavor, like the...
Oh my God, like the papaya was the best thing I've ever eaten. Like I made a video of it for my brother and I'm just like, oh my God. But like your body's just like, what is this? And then you're just like shitting even more. It's crazy. And it's like, how much papaya is in there? And I'm just like, how am I going to do this? Like I can't function. If I'm like going to the toilet like every hour, you know, like 6 times a day or whatever. Like it was just crazy. But then your body sort of calms down a bit and then it's much more normal. And so like everything is fine now. So I had no issues coming off except for massive amounts of like shitting again. But it was new stuff. It wasn't old stuff.
Okay.
So that was good. But then I was going to go somewhere with that.
About like avocado, about like fat. So you sort of like to add like fat.
Yeah. So the other thing I was craving, like literally the whole time, was avocados.
Okay.
And I am a little bit addicted to tahini. And so they're kind of the 2 fats that I eat. So the first avocado I had, it was just like, and because this is a thing, it completely resets your taste buds as well. And so all fruit tastes amazing. And this is why, like, you think you're going to get bored drinking juice for 4 months. But honestly, drinking, like, especially orange and pineapple, which is my favorite, like, every time I drink it, it's like the first day I drank it. Okay. And the same with watermelon, which is why I'm still drinking, like, 3 liters of juice a day.
Okay, so now that's cool, like, to say, so now, like, you're, like, eating vegan diet, but you're still like drinking like the 4.5 like liter of juice like every day.
So I'm following a raw diet now.
Okay.
So I've transitioned from cooked vegan with all the starchy foods that were stuck inside me onto raw, because the raw, like, it continues to cleanse you. Yeah. And so you can actually get all this work done on just raw foods, like as long as you like keep out the nuts and seeds, which I mean they're okay, but they're not cleansing. Okay. But if you just ate fruits and vegetables and greens for like 3 years, like you could achieve the same results. But the juice just speeds everything up. Okay. And then you also get all these spiritual downloads and you get the emotional cleanse and all the other things, which I don't know if you would get that on a raw diet, like because, well, you might. I mean, I'm still getting them now. Sure. But I think the whole thing would just take longer. So it's like, just drink juice. It's amazing, you know, and you speed it up. So yeah, so now I'm mostly eating raw. So I'm having juice in the morning, and as you know, like I love the watermelon juice, particularly for CrossFit, because it's so hydrating and it's very light. So you can drink it throughout the workout, and it's too heavy. This is much more filling, I find. And so if I brought orange and pineapple, like I would just feel like, I feel full now. Okay. Whereas the watermelon, you can like drink lighter, quite a lot. So
like to work out, like you feel better.
Yeah, so I really like that about the watermelon, and I also think like starting my day with watermelon juice, it just like hydrates and it gets everything going.
Sure, yeah, because even in the morning, like the first thing that we should do like is like drinking water, like get hydration, and like the first thing that we do is like coffee, and coffee just like dry them.
Yeah, and it's very acidic, and it's a drug.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I don't know, like I really like the watermelon. So I was doing 3 liters of watermelon, and then I was having like for the rest of the day, because I'm also trying to do intermittent fasting as well. Because before I was doing like 20 hours a day of not eating, 4 hours of meals. So I don't like eating 3 meals. For me, it's too much. But OMAD, like 1 meal a day, it's not enough. Like maybe if you're like doing meats or something, you can do it. But on a like vegan diet, I found it like really hard, because the volume of food you have to eat, it's too much.
To get like all the protein and all the stuff. Like
so doing OMAD is hard, whereas doing 2MAD, like to me, that worked ideal. So before I did the juice, I would like come to CrossFit empty, and then I would go home and have breakfast, because I like eating in the morning. I don't like eating at night. So I'd have breakfast when I go home, and then I'd have a lunch, and that'd be it. And that was great. So 4 hours of eating worked for me on the cooked vegan diet. But now, because you have to eat so much more fruit, like you can't do 4 hours. Like maybe you can, like if you've been on this lifestyle for like, 5-10 years or whatever, because I do know people on YouTube, like there's this one guy in Canada, and he's been on this for like literally years. Like he can dry fast for 5 days and not lose any weight. And he's like a stunt guy for TV or something. Like he's
strong.
Yeah, he's strong. He looks muscly, and he eats like 1 cantaloupe a day. So I think you can get to that level, but I'm not there. So I'm having to eat my like 2 meals. So I'll have a fruit meal, and then later on I'll have like a more of a savory fruit one. And then I've been trying different things. So like this week I added in, like I made a pesto with macadamia nuts and sunflower seeds, because I was like, I want to see, because this is the thing, when once you're clean, you can see exactly what's coming out and when it's coming out. So you can see what your bowel transit time is like. And I wanted to see how nuts went through. And so I feel like even though I may have failed the prune test, like everything now is coming out of me within 24 hours because I can see it, like it's not the usual stuff anymore. Like it just looks like you've chewed up food, really. And what it reminds me of, like when I was traveling in South America, like years and years ago, and I did 2 weeks in an animal refuge in the Amazon. And there were these, I don't know what they were, but they were a nocturnal animal. And so basically every day in the morning, you would clean up the shit and feed the animals. And then you would do the same in the afternoon. And there was these animals, and they were basically a fruitarian animal. And like, I remember looking at their shit, and it just looked like the fruit that they'd eaten, with just mushy. And that's what it looks like now. And that's what we should be, like we should be having everything come out within 24 hours or less. But, and this is the thing, you should be having the same amount of bowel movements for the number of meals you're eating. So if you're eating, and they should be about 30 centimeters long as well. And so if you're eating 3 meals a day, and you're like taking 1 shit a day, that's 2 meals that are stuck in you. Now multiply that out over a week, that's 14 meals. So most people have about 15 meals backed up in their stomach. This is why you've got like 5 to 10 kilos of waste in there. And now, obviously stuff does move through. You're not having a whole lifetime of, because everybody would be like an Oompa Loompa or something, So it does come out, but like stuff gets stuck in there. And this is the stuff that you want to get out with the juice. So, it's just, it's completely different.
Love benefit.
Yeah, so many benefits.
That's good.
So yeah,
That's
like,
good.
That's
I'm
where
really
at.
glad, like Anne-Marie, that you tell like all your path, all your story, like to those people, because like it's really curious. Like I'm really like an open-minded guy, and I'm always like interesting about like experience that people make, because like every time they tell us like, hey, you have to do that, but it's trying like new path that you can know, like you can try, and as well like everyone is different, and everyone can react differently as well. So it's interesting like to know like the experience about like everyone. I don't know if one day I'm gonna do like 4 months about like juicy,
Yeah.
but like it's just like really interesting like to know your experience, to know that your inflammation just like went down, arthritis as well, pain, you feel better, and that's like the most important thing, like feeling like happy, feeling better.
Like I mean I am like literally a different person, physically, emotionally, and spiritually,
and that's
to 4
like
months
the most
ago.
important.
But you know, and one of the reasons I was keen to talk about this is because like I'm not telling anybody you have to do this.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Because we're all on our own paths.
Exactly.
You know? And like it's taken me, 4.5 decades to get here to where I am.
That's the thing, like you made like, it was like a huge path about like doing like different experience, different kind of diet to look for like the best for you. So it's not like from one day to another one, just like boom.
Yeah, I mean, and even if like, well, maybe not 6 months ago, maybe like 7 months ago, if someone had said, you need to do a long juice fast, I would have been going, you're crazy. Why would I do that? But then it was in front of me to do.
Sure.
So I did it. And like I wanted to talk about this because, I mean, the people listening, you might be thinking, oh, well, I don't want to be vegetarian, I don't want to be vegan, I don't want to do a juice fast. But at some point in the future, if you have like a health condition, or you're like, I need to clean up my diet, or whatever it is, like, I don't know, and you'll go, oh, I remember listening to that podcast of that Australian woman, and she did a juice cleanse. And you'll search it, and you'll remember.
Exactly.
So that's why I wanted to
that's
share.
like just like opening the mind.
Yeah.
And because like we have so much to learn and to experiment. So that's like, we are so like thankful, like Anne-Marie, to share like all this story, all like the path. We have like so other thing like to tell, like we can do like other episode about like speaking as well, like about like spirituality and other stuff. So that's really, really interesting. And again, like thanks a lot for sharing like all this information, all your experience, the good moment, the bad moment, all the emotion that you felt is not easy as well. So thanks a lot for that. And even like if it's almost like done,
And
because it was
bringing you a juice.
it was like, it was so good, guys. It was like, it's really good.
This is my favorite juice. Like if I could only drink this, if this was the only food I could have for the rest of my life, I'd be fine with it. Like, it's so good. I love it.
So thanks a lot, Anne-Marie. Thanks a lot for coming.
You're
Thanks a
welcome.
lot for your times, guys. Like, remember like to subscribe to the channel, put like on the like button, and like share like this video, to share like all this experience about Anne-Marie, just like to think about it. And hope like you like it, guys, and have a great day, night. We never know. Like, bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.